Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get Growing Weekly Work Session with Get Oiling. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of Get Oiling, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here today.
We are. We're really excited to be here today. We're going to be sharing some updates, and to help us get that done and to run this call, we've got Julie here from our team. What's up, Julie?
Hi, everyone.
And we have you guys back from last week. We've got Brandi Bunda here, user of Get Oiling, expert in creating pages and marketing. Brandy's going to be sharing some tips with us today. Hey, Brandi, excited to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
So, welcome everybody. Head into the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from and what you are excited to learn about. The reason we are getting together today is because we do this every Thursday, of course, at noon US Eastern Time, but also because we have some super exciting updates to share with you. Greg has been hard at work with that magic wand of his, making this platform even better, like he tends to do. And we're going to be getting into what those changes look like here today. We're going to pop out a video here real quick. I've got a bit of slide action prepared for you guys. And of course, we will come back to join you after we get through showing and telling here today. So again, welcome. Today we are talking about how you can make your own beautiful custom Young Living website easily, because we have this cool thing that Greg made called the Page Builder in Get Oiling. So if you are not familiar, when you get started with Get Oiling, you have, depending on your market, any number of beautiful, compliant websites that are built in, ready to go. All you need is to add your photo and a little bit of your own story and testimony, and you've got a gorgeous, ready to go, fully designed Young Living sharing website. But what if you want to customize your website? What if you want your website to say a little bit more about you and maybe what you do? Perhaps you offer additional services, yoga, AFT, right? Or maybe you would just like to develop yourself as a personal brand to attract more leads online. You can do that with Get Oiling. We are not just a replicated website, a gorgeous replicated website, compliant in multiple markets, but you also have the ability to create your own awesome website. And today we're going to show you how we have made that so much easier. So today we're going to get into the new page builder updates in Get Oiling. We're going to get some design tips from our friend Brandi, who is here on the call so graciously. You guys might have met her last week, where we talked about the wild notes resources that she has. And then, of course, today, as always, we will get into live help and Q&A. We do dedicate a significant portion, typically the latter half of these sessions, to live help and Q&A and to working together with you. That's why we call this a work session. So if there's something that you're working on and you need some support, you've got experts here on the call to help you live. Add those questions to the Q&A. And if you are watching this as a replay, head over to getoiling.com/weekly work session to join us on a future live call. We meet on Zoom every Thursday at noon US Eastern Time, unless it's a holiday or convention. If you would like to work together on a call like this one, go to getoiling.com/website review. We can work together in the second half of one of these calls. You can literally reserve space, that is your space, on these calls. So you can do that there. And then finally, if you'd like our team to take care of some of the work for you, getoiling.com/concierge is where you can go to get incredible done for you options. All right, so let's go check out the page builder, starting with Greg. If you could please kind of walk us through some of the amazing updates that you have put into place for the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get my screen shared here and I can start with that. All right. I think I did it here. Awesome. So yeah, we've been hard at work lately, coming up with some new changes to make page building a lot easier and more smoothly. So first of all, I just want to, so this is, everywhere I'm starting with the pages menu here in case you're wondering where this is. Click on pages here in your system and it'll take you to a page like this. Assuming you have pages, they'll show up here. If not, there'll be a button where you can add some. So one of the things you'll see that's new on this screen, and I think that's the only change on this screen, is there's a revision history button on here, which you can get to in the page builder. But this is relatively new. I think it keeps the last 50 or so and a max of 30 days there for you. So every time you click save, it creates a revision history. And so if you essentially like little checkpoints and you can go back and view and restore them. If you click that, it'll take you to whatever the page was at that point in time. This will help with situations such as, this has come up a lot where somebody will edit it on one computer and then they go over to a different device and they edit the same page and it overwrites the original change. Well, this way you can at least get it back. You have some way of going back in time or anyway, there's 100 applications for this, but now you have a little more security with the page revision history. And along those same lines, there is also, actually, let me go back and create a new page. Let me just grab a new template here. There's also an undo and redo button here as well. So as I make changes, uh, this will light up, for example, the undo, and then I can go back and you can see it change a little exclamation mark and remove that. You can step back and forth between your changes so you don't even have to save in order to have a little bit of backup and safety there. So that's another recent addition. That's not the latest one, but that was one of the first ones we did. So that's, I think it helps quite a bit. You've probably seen the drag and drop changes as well. It works, works pretty well in some cases. And undo helps there too, in case it drops it in some place that you're not wanting. You can just pull it. Let's say I want to move that button around, whatever. You can just kind of drag these sections around. You can go between columns and play with it a little bit. And again, you can step back with undo if you don't want to have it, whatever it was, you can restore to those specific checkpoints. So that's one of the other changes that we have there. The drag and drop has been, I think, welcomed by many people who've requested this over the years. And all these changes really have come from requests from you guys. So really appreciate all the feedback that you send us. We can incorporate that into making the system better. Another major change here, what I'm primarily going to be talking about is, so this bar, this big sidebar on the right is new as well. I mean, it was there before, but it was a little bit different. It kind of opened and closed. And this works on a phone too, if you want to. It works a little bit differently. It's a few more taps because the screen is so much smaller. But so editing a page is definitely better on a larger screen computer. But so this bar or the sidebar now shows up pretty much all the time. You can still close it if you want to, kind of get it out of the way. But any editing will do this, and it kind of makes it a little smoother experience as well. It's got some instructions for you with what you can do and a getting started video and that kind of thing. So one of the recent changes that we've made is previously when you're in here editing content and you would click on this, it would automatically open up a big editor pop-up where then you could then optionally come over here and edit some of the styles. Now, the first thing it does is it just selects it. So whatever you clicked on, it just selects it and puts a little box around it. And you can click on it again if you want to edit it, or you can click on the edit content button, and then you can make your changes and hit done. But you can then also use this as an opportunity to browse some of the styles over here if you want to, for example, add the background color. You can change that whatever you want to. These are not great colors, so I'll just remove it. So you can edit all the styles here. And one of the other changes too is these all used to be open, which made it very difficult to find, or made it more difficult to find what a person was looking for. Now you can kind of see at an overview what are all the different options that are available for styling, and you can see if they're adjusted. So this is another big change. Did you notice when I added the background color, a little dot showed up? Just for example, let me add some padding on the top. A little dot shows up. So you can see now at a glance what's been modified in a section when you clicked on it. So like if I click over here, those dots are going to go away. But if I click back over here where I've added the padding and the background color, it shows up. And so you can see what's there and, like, oh, okay, this is helpful when you're trying to figure out what's wrong. Why does my page look funny? Well, you can click on something and then you can see at a glance with the dots. Oh, well, maybe I've got, size adjustment or width or something like that. That's kind of throwing it off. The other thing that's new in this panel over here are the columns. So while there always is, and there continues to be this column editor tool, like if I want to come over here and click on it to edit the columns, that still exists. But what's new is you can do that from within a section that has some columns. It edits the first column in there. If you happen to have multiple columns within the same section, you'll have to use the column tool. But this one just looks at the first column. So like right now, if I come over here and I want to shrink this down a little bit, I can do that. And I just edit it right from here without having to go into the column tool. And you can add columns and move them around. And just like you can with the column editor, all those options are available to you there. So and there's a button here if you want to open that up. There's some other tools here that are useful too as you're working with your content. You ever had a situation where you want to just duplicate something? It was kind of difficult to do. You had to copy and paste some code and whatnot. So let's say I want an exact copy of this content here. There's now a duplicate, make a copy, button, click it. Now you've got two. Great. Now you can do something with it. Like maybe I want to go put it under, um, go put it above the photo. I want a header over there. Or, oops, I don't really want it. I'm going to delete it. Hit delete. Okay, it's gone. That's something you couldn't do before either. So that's new. Let me pull it back here. I'll show you another feature that's with this. So if you click on it, there's this also up and down, moving the selected element up or down within its container. So like you could do the drag and drop for this, but if you want to, you can just click it and it'll move it around, essentially move it up and down. If you have multiple items here, like this is probably a good example too. So like this join the challenge, you can just kind of scooch that around without having to use drag and drop, especially if you're just trying to scooch items around within an area. And then edit is essentially this edit pencil is the same thing as clicking this edit content or just clicking on it here. It opens up the editor for you to do everything that you could do before. So that's some of the changes there. The when you're adding a section, this is now a little bit bigger and a lot more visible, so it's more obvious that, oh, okay, I can add a section. This has also been put in the sidebar over here and in little accordions so that you can see what's there and more easily add something at a glance. So that the add section editor has been improved a little bit there as well. And I think these are all the same things that were, or the same section options that were available there before. So I'm going to come in here and edit this again, and I'll show you some of the other awesome stuff that's underneath the add button. You've seen this big add button. That's new. This is I think a great addition to making the page builder very, much more user friendly. So there's a bunch of options. You can choose where you want this. I'll just put it at the bottom here, but it opens up first with these commonly used elements, but there are a ton of different things that you can add. Now, most of these were available before. There was a tiny little add button up here that was difficult to see. This makes it a little bit easier to use because it puts it in a sidebar instead of a pop-up. So you can kind of browse and look and compare what you want on your page, but it's also now an interactive process. So like if I want an image, it doesn't you can still do that through the toolbar. This is probably what most of you have done. Insert image. You can still upload or browse from the gallery and all that. But if you use this one, it'll ask you what image size and alignment would you like? Do you want a centered image, left aligned image, right aligned image, or a full width image? And it'll set it up for you. And again, these are all things you could do with these tools. And you click on it, you can change inline, align left. You can do that. But this is just shortcuts to these things so that you don't have to jump through those hoops to get this done for you. So, like now if I want a full width image, there it is. You can still resize it and all that, but it's just kind of a shortcut to get you there. The video, you click on that. It's just basically the same as clicking the insert video button on the toolbar here. Exactly the same thing. It's just a little bit more convenient in the panel. The link is kind of neat because while you can still use this insert link feature here, there's a little drop down for your pages. This here is easier to use because you click on link and it asks what would you like to link to, and you can choose your page. You can show the lead form or to contact me. All your pages are available here. You can type to filter. It automatically pre-fills all this for you. You can change it before you insert it, and you can also choose if you want a button or just a link. So I'm just going to go with a link in this one for now, but then after that, the first time that you add a button, it shows you some tips on what you can do to edit it and how to make changes to that as well. That only shows up the first time that you use it here in a given editor session. So yeah, now we've got a link that links to that page. You didn't have, previously it was a little more difficult coming in here and kind of scrolling through this list, but the insert link now is a great option for that. And likewise, there's a insert form button for those places where you want to have a form. There's even it adds the tag for you, and then there's even an edit form button if you want to. It takes you to the place where you can edit the form right away, so you don't have to dig through the menu to find it. Let me go back in here. A couple of other things that we've added here. Audio files. This is another nice addition. You can choose whether to upload a new one or from a library. If you pick from your library, it tells you click on the music icon to add a music player. So I'll just click over here, and then we have a nice little music player that's added on the page. And the buttons, this is also neat. It's very much like the link, except it pre-fills one of the button styles. Pick a page that you want to go to. You can change, or you can paste in any URL you want to. It doesn't have to be a page on your site. It can be, if you've got an Amazon affiliate page or whatever, you can have that there as well. Or the, a Young Living sign up link or something along those lines. So, and you can also choose your button color right away. Let's say I want I'll just randomly pick one, but it'll insert that button in that style that you specify right there. The other improvement too, if I do, you probably can't see my menu, but if I do a copy and paste or cut and paste, it now actually retains the button style. There was some issue before where if you copy and paste a button, it would not retain the button style. So that's a nice improvement there. I think that makes it a lot easier to use. You can move the buttons around a lot more easily. These are just shortcuts to show the lead form. Essentially, it just puts in a button, a default button that goes to, whoops, if I link to the hashtag lead for those of you who are familiar with that. Same for the contact me, does the same thing, automatically links to /contact. And you can change your button style here once you've added it as well if you want to, just by clicking on this little style drop down and change that. These are the same as before, so the carousel and the accordion. You can insert those into a section. I do kind of recommend actually inserting them as their own section as opposed to inside the content, which you can do by going to add section and saying interactive and then picking an accordion. But if you do need it inside of a column, for example, if you want to have a carousel, it's only going to be in one column, or a little FAQ accordion that you want to be on the side, you can add those right here. And then it opens up the editor so that you can make those changes to however you want to do, to the accordion right there. A couple of other things. So these header and paragraph text, those can be, this is just a shortcut for coming under the paragraph menu and picking, for example, heading 1. But what this does is just kind of a one-click shortcut to pop in header 1. Likewise, if you're having problems with style, not, like, oh, this header style is carrying over or something, you can just click body paragraph text. It'll insert a new paragraph for you to work with it there. So lots of good stuff in here. Headers, text, and links. These are just a more in-depth variety of the commonly used elements. Tons and tons of buttons if you want to see them all at a glance and see what's there, excuse me, in your account. The interactive carousel, accordion, countdown, timer. You can even insert an automation here, which you can still do with this little lightning bolt icon. All it does is really open up that lightning bolt icon for you to insert the automation. You can add, if you want columns, you can insert those here. So you can do nested columns now as more of a pricing, or not pricing. If you want a more elaborate layout somehow using columns, pricing boxes, you can insert those. There's a bunch of labels, quotes. I think most of these existed before. They're just a little bit easier to access now. This is new, recent blog posts. These tags, previously you could only really get access to them by there's a blog post section. But now if you want individual tags for recent blog posts, you can assemble your own. So if you want a title from your recent blog posts, you can choose which one you want, the most recent one, second most recent, and so on. So if I want like the most recent post, there's the title. When I preview this, the most recent post will show up, most recent post image, and for example, a view button. And there you'll have the most recent title, image, and button all ready to go. And you can play with all of these as well. So that's new. And then a whole bunch of different buttons and sizes. You can look at all these small, medium, large, extra large. There's all these different options down here. So tons and tons under the add content panel. There is one other thing I want to show you in here that is useful in certain situations. So like here, one of the situations we've come across is there'll be a 2-column section here and you want the same background on there. So let's, well here, let me show you this. So this also, to edit the section background, which is this whole container here, you can still use the pencil icon, but now anywhere that you're editing, you can click this little section link and it'll take you to the section editor and kind of wiggles it so you know what you're talking about, where you can edit the section itself. So you can do that, kind of a nice little shortcut. But I was going to show you earlier, let me just add a background image. It's probably not going to be the best one, but so often what happens is people have a background image with parallax on there, which, if you're not familiar with it, let me show you the preview. It's like where the background moves at a different pace than the front, like that. I don't know if you can see that, but there's also one of the cases we've had is, well, okay, now I've got these 2 columns and I want to put a heading on top. How do I do that? It was kind of impossible to do that before. Now what you can do, let me click on either one of these and you can add, and there's a whole, if I scroll to the top here in this panel, there's a whole bunch of these buttons here. Whoops, I need to keep that open. There's a whole bunch of these buttons here as far as adding items below or above. So in this case, if I want a heading on top, I'm going to add a blank space at the top of this section. And so what that's going to do, you can see it flashed at me a little bit, but now there's a separate blank space above the columns. So I can come in here and maybe I'm going to make this a header now. Let's center it and maybe make it a heading. And now I've got a new heading at the top, which is great. You don't have to, then your parallax background is the same, all in the same, it's got the same image. When you view it, it all works together kind of in a nice way without having to, have another section where the image is off and it looks off. And, so that's a nice change. There's some other similar ones here too. You can play around with these two at the top. I think I need to close these because it keeps pulling me to the top. But so you can add a section above. That's the same as clicking this add section button above here. The other thing you can do is, add a section below, which is the same. And you can add a blank space above or below the current element as well. So if I wanted a blank space that's a separate section below, um, you can click that button and it'll add that down there too. So yeah, so those are most of the changes. Now, for those of you who create page templates, there is an additional setting. I'll show you this. This is more of an advanced thing for certain people who are creating page templates. But if you go under advanced, there's an activate template editing features. And what this does is it turns on a new section down here under page template editing settings that allows you to modify some things that allow page templates to be edited more easily. If you're doing that and you have some questions about any of it, let me know. Email in and we'll be able to help you out with that, but I'll turn that off here. Um, so those are the page editor changes. Now there's one other cool thing that happened this morning. I'll show you there. I'll just open a new tab right now for the time being. And the image manager now has collections. So if I go under content library, so this has been one of the a highly requested feature, to say the least. People were talking about it over the last few weeks in our Facebook group. Under images here, there is now a collection feature, so you can organize your images. So for example, this one already is organized into like logos and buttons, and we have another collection here for section backgrounds. You can add a collection here, rename it, delete the collection. And if you want to organize them, an image can be in one collection at a time. You can select them and then say like move to new collection, and you can delete them here too. But you can organize them by putting them that way, or when you're uploading here, just pick the section or the collection first, and then wherever you upload, it'll go to that. There's also, if you're mass organizing, there's also a little drop down here that lets you, for example, pull up to even 200 images per page. There's only 3 here, so it doesn't pull that up. But if you want to select them all, there's a select all on page, and then you can do 200 at a time, essentially when you're recategorizing them or deleting them there. So, and that also shows up, like if I go back into the page builder, for example, and let me make a new page here. It recognizes that I restored, I'm visiting a session, so it pulled it up there if I want to. But anyway, so now if I come over here and I add an image, and I go to the image gallery, or now there's this drop down at the top that lets you choose between the different collections that you can organize your images a lot better. So anyhow, that's what I've got. I see the chat is lit up. I haven't been seeing any of those, so I'll try to follow up here after that. But yeah, anyway. Ashley, if you want to, or whoever.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how exciting was that, you guys? How absolutely thrilled are we? Who's going to be organizing their images today? Wow. Yeah, Brandi, I know you're excited too. So there's a few questions here, and I think that there's an opportunity here for like some show and tell to work through this. But Don Marie, you had asked about the drag and drop and using that in like a column situation. Generally speaking, you should be able to drag an element from one column to another. It will stack and you may need to move whatever is in that column into another place. But I find personally, my favorite way if I want to move something in columns is to actually just use the column editor and just tell it to go in a direction or another direction, right? And that's just like a really nice, clean way to get that done. Let me just show that here real quick, and then I want to pass this over to Brandi to start sharing some tips with us, which is really exciting. Really, again, thank you so much for choosing to be present with us here today and to help us with this. All right, let me just find a page in here in the Jane account where I can show you. So we've got two columns here, right? And we can drag this and it goes over here. And then we can drag this and put it over here, right? So we can do that. But the other option, and again, I find this easier, especially if you've got like maybe a like a 4-column section, or just as a general practice, just go to the column editor, select the ones that you want to modify, and then just click over, right? And you can move them back and forth this way. I really love that. And you don't have to worry about being quite so precise with dragging and dropping. So hope that makes sense. All right, Brandi, talk to us about page design. I know you've been creating pages in GetOiling for some time, obviously starting with your own, and you now do that for hire and you create templates and all that kind of good stuff. If somebody wanted to get started with creating a website using GetOiling, what would you recommend that they do to, kind of begin that journey?
Well, first, I just want to say I'm so excited to be back here. Greg, I don't even know how you do what you do, sir. Okay. But I just want to say from the bottom of my cotton picking heart, I am so overjoyed with all of these new updates. And as someone who nearly 5 years ago came from a WordPress, website, this drag and drop, the open and accordion to be able to pick and bring over, it's better. It's better than what they had over there. So thank you so much. And because this is all so new, I'm having to get used to all of the new updates. So, but what I find when I first start working with people is they're still using the GetOiling themed pre-built websites, which are fantastic for wonderful information whenever it comes to GetOiling and to Young Living. And there's a way really to be able to incorporate both. But if you offer services and you want to connect with people based on your niche and how you can serve them, having something like a simplified homepage is a great place to start. And they have free templates in there for you to use. I have a few also that are available. And so what I thought that I might do today is go through and show you some of my most favorite things that I like to do when it comes to brand colors and spacing, like the padding, creating section dividers and those sort of things. Yeah, they want to see the puppy. The puppy looks like my pet Scotch.
He's overdue for a groom.
So sweet. Okay, so shall I go ahead and just share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, let me make sure that you can. Sorry, I need to fix that real quick. There we go. You should be good.
Okay. Okay, one of the first places that I like to start, and I thought that I would just show mine. This is actually a template that I got from Coach Ashley from one of her recordings, and this is a brand guide. And why it's so important is because you know that your fonts that you can use in your GetOiling system, you have your hex numbers. So if you have a premium plan or higher, you can go in and you can add your branding colors, which makes really updating your page builder so much simpler. You can always reference this, right? Let's see. I think this was the page. Okay. So this is, I'm going to move this over here. This is just a simple kind of home page. And one of the things that I like to do whenever I first get started is to have something like above the fold, right? Similar to a newspaper. It's like the first thing they see when they land on your website. And so you can go here and you can edit this section and you can add a background image. I'm just going to use, let's see what I have that I can use here. By the way, Greg, I love the fact that that we have collections. You don't even know, like, I love you so much for that. Okay. Like, so much. I'm just going to use this. Okay. So that you can see what this looks like, putting a background right here. Have you ever wondered how somebody would maybe like have a white box around here? We're going to change the opacity. Is that how you say it? So what I like to do sometimes is also hover where you can, all of this is included. And when you edit this content, whoops. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to go into this edit element styles. Okay, so we are going to do that. And then whenever you click over this entire section, this is going to pop up. And see right here where it says opacity. Hope I'm saying that right. You can change if you want it to be clearer or not clear. Let's see. This is all changed a little bit for me.
It's the background color.
The background color. Okay. So here, okay, yes, here we go. So say I want this to be white. Now I can change this. And now this has actually a white box around it. And you can also adjust the padding. These are just little things that sometimes people don't realize that you can do here. And so I want to add a little bit of padding on the top. So I'm just going to drag and it creates space. And I'm going to add a little bit towards the bottom. And you'll see it adds a little bit of space underneath this button here. So those are a couple of things that I like to do whenever I'm doing something above the fold. Then I also like to create little section dividers here using color, your brand color. You can put anything in this text box, such as a call to action. So if you have a lead magnet, you can include a button here also to take them to a landing page. You can put a quote or a saying here. You can even leave it blank if you want to, but I'm going to press that so that I can change the color. Let me just show you why I love having all of your brand colors already in your system under Customize My Site, because then when you have them already set here, then they're easy for you to just be able to choose one and it automatically chooses the color for you. I know that that's not available on the basic packages, but you could always, they have like a branding add-on. And to me, it's worth every penny because it will save you time. Otherwise, you're going to want your brand guide handy and your hex numbers written down and somewhere accessible. Okay, let's keep scrolling. And this is a good section, I think, to actually talk to you a little bit about background padding. So you can make this section bigger or smaller. So it doesn't just have to be a section divider. If you want to actually go in here and to be able to add photos and you want it to be a larger section, you can absolutely do that. Whenever I'm using it just as like a section divider, I will usually choose somewhere between 20 to 30 or 40 or something like that. And you'll see how it just kind of breaks up the monotony of so much white space. But speaking of white space is necessary. Now, when I first started designing, I would not put very much background padding here, and it would be really close to the top. Do you see how that changed? So don't be scared of white space because it's actually easier for the person to read on the other end and it breaks it up. So if you can leave, sometimes I'll do about 50 or 60 when it comes to the background padding. These are easy things that you can go into your website to do just to start, enhancing it. Let's see. I wanted to come down here also because I love the line feature. The line feature, I'm just going to show you, if you were to add a section, we're going to choose one column here. So maybe you don't want to divide a section by doing a color block like we did here, but you want to have just this line to kind of divide and take them into a new section. So I'm going to click in here. We're going to edit this. I'm going to delete the text. And you can come right over here to the more rich, the little plus sign with the 3 dots, and you see this horizontal line. click that and boom, you have an horizontal line that comes up. And now whenever you, well, I'll delete one of these and then we'll save it. Yes. See, it's making sure if you're going to delete it, it wants to know for sure. And let's just give a hallelujah to the undo and the history revision, because I don't know how many times I've accidentally deleted something. I swear, Greg, you're just incredible. This is why I love GetOiling, is why I think everyone needs to be using it. Okay, but do you see how now there is that line divider right there? Okay, let's see. Let's go to this next section down here, because I also like to be able to make small little adjustments to photos. So when you have a photo right here, I want to show you, I did not create that border. I just took the border off. You can select a photo and then come where it has this little style button. You can make the corners rounded. It's kind of hard to see on this one because I do have like a white background around it, but you can border them. And then you can also put a shadow. And do you see how the shadow just kind of popped up over here? I usually don't do the border and the shadow at the same time, but just to kind of give you an idea of what you can do with that in order to maybe add just a little bit of enhancement to your photos. Something that someone else doesn't know. Let's just add a section here. Say I want to add a photo and I'm going to choose one column. See, where did that section go? Here we go. And say I want to add a photo here. I'm going to delete this text and I'm going to come in here to insert image. If I want to browse my library, I'm going to pull it up and say I want to use this one. By default, it brings it in here very small. Now, certainly I can grab the little, get rid of that. I can click on the image and I can grab the little blue dots and I can stretch it. Or let's blow your mind. You see this little double arrow? You click on that and now it has expanded to the full page. I meet people all the time who have no idea that that exists. Okay. Also, I love to use the up and down feature. If I'm like, I don't like that there, but I think it should be moved up, then I can also click on this little up arrow and now it will move this section above or below. Also, if you ever get a template that someone has given you or you're using one within GetOiling and you're like, oh, I don't have things to fill this section yet, you can always click on here. I love this feature because whenever you tap on all of those, now it's going to hide that section. I know that they have gone through this in other trainings, but man, I love that you have the ability to do that. I also want to scroll down a little farther because one of the things that I like to do is really encourage people once they have a website, they're like, oh, I have a website, like now what? Well, the goal, right, is to be growing and building your email list so that you can connect and nurture with your people and also be adding and providing valuable content to your website because you know how there's an algorithm on social media, right? And if you're not posting and stuff all of the time, then they just think that you're not there and you're not alive. Well, the same holds true for the Googles. And so being able to blog is why blogging is so important because it tells the Google algorithm that your website is alive and active. Not only that, I'm sure you share tons of information, great valuable information on your Facebook or social media channels. You can now take and extract that information, start blogging on your website, and this little section right here, I'm going to show you how to add it if you don't have it yet on yours, and then I'm going to save it and show you what it looks like on the other side. So you can add this section here and go down to where it says recent blog posts. And I like to select the 3, but you can select whatever floats your boat. And whenever you do that, see how it just automatically pops that in there. You can go in here and you can adjust the color. I'm going to delete this section and act like we just didn't do that because it won't pop up and show both. And now we're going to go over here to home. I'm going to just refresh real quick. And it is going to show my latest blog post because this is my GetOiling system. But I just want you to be able to see how the latest blog posts are going to show up here, which is fantastic because, you know, then whatever you're constantly writing out about, it's going to show up on whatever page you want it to show up on. And I think that that is such a cool feature. I think another unused feature that more people need to know about that Coach Ashley shared, and I don't know, some sort of training that I was in, was this copy in another page. Has there ever been something that you have created on one page and you're like, I would really love that also over here? Well, you can come in here and you can choose whatever page that you have created. So just for easeability, I create a lot of pages. Okay, but let's just choose footer for an example. And now I can come to this. Let me click out of this stuff. I can scroll down here and look. This is a footer that I've now copied in from another page that is on this page. That is so cool to me that you can do that. And I think probably the last thing that I would like to feature so that you can bring on anybody who is asked for support is this interactive section. And I did see somebody ask about this in the chat. So I wanted to make sure that I covered it because it is really cool. And not only that, but it will allow you to cover a lot of information, whether it's about your services, whether it's about something that's like really niche specific, and you can come in here and you can select it, and all of this can really be color coded. So I can say, what is gluten? Maybe you're someone who talks about that. Then this section, you know, gluten-free shopping list, you know, just kind of giving you an example. Once these are going to be like the content portion. Here's where you can put your answer. Come up here to style, and now you can also choose your color. So if you don't want it to be the default color, I can choose that I want this to be pink and I want this to be white, and then it will change it for you also. I just love this because it's such a cool way for you to be able to share a lot of information. And I'll just hit done so that you can see what this looks like here. It's allowed you to share a lot of information in a short amount of time, because then whenever you view this, let me just go here and refresh. By the way, anytime I'm doing a page builder, I always have an actual tab open and I refresh when I do updates so I can see what it looks like. But they can click on this little plus sign and now it's going to drop that answer down. And I don't even have to have this answer visible. It can just only be questions. So like I created one of these, if a lot of you are oily folks, like Progessence Plus. There's a lot of questions when it comes to Progessence Plus. So I just have the question there and then the answer is down below it. So that's it. There's so many more things that I could share and I can talk about. I just love this platform. I feel that more entrepreneurs need to be utilizing it in order to stand out for themselves, for their business, to streamline and simplify and create systems. And so again, I'm honored and humbled to come on, and thank you, Greg, for just all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. And Ashley, you are a top-notch trainer and I am one of your best students. So thank you very much.
You are indeed. You're doing an excellent job. Thank you so much for sharing those tips with us. And if you're open to stick around a little longer, you could maybe give your input on some of the questions here. So one of the questions here is from Donna, who asks, how do we find out the size of images within a template? And I'll tell you the first things first. A lot of our templates, especially if they're more highly specialized ones, they'll specify. Sometimes there's even a Canva template included, especially if you're purchasing a Canva a template from someone like Brandi. Like all those templates are going to be included in Canva, so that you don't have to worry about what the resolution sizes are. But generally speaking, as a rule, I've designed a lot of the stuff that wound up in sort of the section, the templates in GetOiling, and the section templates are all pretty standard. The vast majority of the images are either going to be square, which in Canva is a logo preset. That's what I find easy to use. It's 500 by 500 pixels, which you don't need to memorize. Please don't. Just remember logo because it's square. And that is going to be easily seen on a phone as well as on a high resolution. I've got like the biggest monitor that Mac does. They look great on here too, right? So if it works on this, it'll work on everything else. So logo is the preset for squares. And then the other one, again, vast majority of the time, if it's something that's pre-designed that has images included, blog banner is the other one that I want you to remember. These are the two most used ones, I think, generally in our system. That is blog banner. I don't even know the resolution size for it. It's huge. It's like, 2000 something by 1000 something. And it works great for section backgrounds. So if you're wanting to click that little pencil button and put an image into the background, that is the one that I recommend using. So let me just show you really quickly what that looks like just directly from GetOiling. So maybe this background here, if I wanted to, I'm going to click this pencil. If I want to change the background image here, I'm going to click change background image, and I'm going to go add a design from Canva, and I'm just going to type in blog banner. And if you're in Canva directly, you can use that as a preset as well. So if I go here and I type in blog banner, actually, I'm going to go create a design. Here we go. And I'll type in blog banner. There we go, 2240 by 1260 is what that is. And this isn't a hard and fast rule. You could obviously use other resolution sizes, but this is the one that is easy to remember and always works for a section background vast majority of the time. So you can use styles that are already in here, templates, etc. Or you could go and you could find an image. Maybe I want to find an ocean image. Here's a photo, perfect. Here we go. This is a pro image. Quick tip, they're not going to let you export this on its own. So let me go ahead and add just some kind of something to the background. I'm going to bring this to the front. Here we go. And then just drag this out. Perfect. All right. So I've got this looking the way I want. I'm going to share that, right, by downloading. The other option, of course, would be to go in here and do the same thing from inside GetOiling. This is even easier, right? So here's this, here's that. Let me send this one to the front. And in this case, instead of just attaching it to the file, I'm just going to drag it and place it where I want it. Then I'm going to send that to GetOiling. And again, the majority of the time, this image resolution size blog banner is going to work beautifully for your backgrounds. I would err on the side of not using text in the images that you put in the backgrounds on your page. I think that's a really important thing to remember because it can get really busy. And also, it's not always necessarily, there you go, looks nice. It's not always necessarily going to show up on the device the way that you want it to, right? So sometimes it can work. Generally, it's not something I recommend. So let's go ahead and do what Brandi did here a little bit ago and select this here because we can't see all of this very well. Let's give that some background color, or we could even blur the background a little bit, right? If I don't want it to be totally opaque, I still want to see the water. I can increase the opacity and even increase the blur a little bit so it's easier to read, right? All right, so long-winded way of telling you that you need to use logo or blog banner the vast majority of the time. One other thing, if there is an image in here and it is not that logo size, like this actually, this is not the logo size, and these aren't consistent either. One of the things that you can do, this is my shortcut, and I'm really curious, Brandi, or really anybody else, if you have another way that you like to do this. If you go to view the published page, And then you, let's see, I'm going to maybe save this image. Then you can actually inspect the file, right? So you download the image to your device and it will tell you when you actually inspect the file what the image resolution is. Another thing that you can do, and this is going to vary based on the type of device you're on. Pretend like you're taking a screenshot and you can get a ratio as well. So you can even like drag here and I can see that this is 483 by 324, but I want to blow that up a bit, right? Like I want it to be over 500 pixels in one direction, at least if it's going to show up on a big screen like this. All right, let me see what else. Okay, so that's that one. Darcy says, best practice question for images. If it's something specific to a certain time frame, like monthly promos, etc., would you delete those images to clean things up? Or what would you do with it? We really need to have like an organization session. Wouldn't that be fun?
A digital organization session. Yes. All
Yeah,
for it.
I would love to do that. I for one, for sure. There is a feature that we've been discussing that I would kind of like to have before we do that, but we could do it with images first. All right, so the short answer is yes. Like if the image that you're using says December 2024, you're not using it again. So I would delete it. And so what I would do is, and now that we have this incredible feature here, which let's go back over here to our content library to images. Now that we have the ability to organize our images, I would recommend if you're like working on a project, right, that you go ahead and get all of your images made in Canva first and then upload them all over here to at the same time to a collection. And if you know that these images are not something that are necessarily reusable in the future, right? So if they say things like December 2024 or something like that, then label that collection so that you can then easily go and find everything that you want to clean out later. However, if, for instance, you are maybe uploading images of product that could be featured in other ways in the future, I would maybe label those differently, right? Because then you've got something to work from moving forward. Yes.
Can I mention one other thing? Because I do find this when I'm going into people's websites is they may have accepted a template from someone, like someone shared it with them. Maybe they're in the process of working on a page, but they haven't completed it yet. And if that page is published, it's going to show up in the search. It could show up in the search engine if somebody were to Google your name or your website. So if it's a page that like you don't want to be visible because there's broken links, it's still in the process of yeah. So I would make sure if there's one that you don't want to be visible at all, adjust where it is shown.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you have something that's currently published that you're working on, to Brandi's point as well, you can hide it completely, right? And then of course, if you are designing for mobile, you can hide it on certain devices, right? Like this one's visible on desktop and laptop. This one is visible on mobile and tablet. Okay. How do you know how tall? So, Laureen, I hope that that was an image question, and I hope that we got that covered for you. Let us know if not. Okay, Stacy says, can you show me what all is considered a page? Is your footnotes a page? So I think that maybe what you saw were like it was like a hidden section at the bottom of one of Brandi's templates where there's Canva links and things like that. That is still considered a page. It's just a section that's hidden, like I just showed. And so that's what's going to allow you to, like in the case of Brandi, where maybe you want easy access to the Canva template to be able to swap out the image that's there. It just kind of keeps it all in one place. And so long as that section is blocked out to where it is red, right? So if I go here, this will no longer be visible on the page. So right, we're looking at this in the editor right now. And if we go to the preview, you can actually see that that number one section is gone from the page, right? Okay, one more, Jolene. So it's not necessary to make some sections only mobile and only desktop viewable and just use the blog banner and logo photos. It's really going to depend on the design, right? So it really, really depends. So this one, for instance, and I mean, I have no idea how old this template is. This could be something that really needs a lot of help. This is decent on desktop. This obviously the section needs more padding. But if we look at the tablet view, it's also decent, and it's not terrible for mobile either. So sometimes you don't need to create a separate section. If you really wanted to dial this in and make it look truly different on mobile, then of course you would want to go in and you would want to go in and modify what sections, or sorry, what types of devices that section is visible on. Fantastic. So many good questions. Awesome. So guys, if you want to learn more about what Brandi's got, definitely check this link in the chat. This is the Wild Notes bundle that we talked about last week. If you weren't here and you missed that, definitely watch the replay. But if you go to brandibunda.com/wild, W-Y-L-D, there you go. You can grab a free template for you to use in your GetOiling system to get people onto the Wild Notes waitlist, right? If you're an affiliate. She has other templates as well, though, and they're gorgeous and they work for your GetOiling system. So definitely make sure that you check those out. Got one more question here from Allison. How can I make all the blog images be the same when showed on a page like Brandi was showing? I have the two that are the same, but the middle one is smaller and maybe landscape. So, Brandi, you want to talk to this?
Yeah, and so I actually have tips whenever it comes to the blogging. I use blog banners. Whenever I first started blogging, I was using square images. But again, because I'm an avid student of Coach Ashley, she shared, I'm just going to go in here. And I love to use the blog banner sizing, okay, in Canva, because I can use it in 3 places. And then this will make sure that it shows up standard in all the places. So the first place that I'm going to pop that blog banner in here is right up here for it to be a header. Okay.
Oh, can't see your page if you're meaning to share.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Let me, what happened to my ability to show you guys? Let me just make you bigger, share my screen here. Okay. Okay, so I have the blog post, my blog post open. And like I said, I like to use the blog banner because I can make it a header up here at the top of the blog. And then I scroll down here, and I also use the blog banner size right here as the featured image. This is what image is going to be scraped whenever it's going to show up on, if you're choosing like your most recent blog post. If you're sharing on the socials or wherever, this is the image that it's going to scrape and use. Okay. So I actually choose to uncheck this, and I don't want this featured image on the post, because whenever you do, it defaults to a smaller size, it left aligns it, and I like it to be big and bold as a header. You might not like that. It's a personal preference, but this is really how I teach and train people to use that. Also, while we're talking about blogs, blog categories are so important, and I really recommend only having about 5 to 7 per blog post, because if you are using a tag like lemon and lavender and peppermint and thieves and all the things instead of just essential oils, well, especially on a mobile device, someone, like, they're being able to see your top 5 blog posts, but then they're having to scroll through probably 75 different categories that you've ever used to tag your blog posts. And it becomes very convoluted, even if you are on a desktop and you can see all of those on the right hand side. So my recommendation is to find, have pillars of categories that you use to categorize your blogs. Okay. Also, then you're going to come down here to the comment, excerpt, and search engine optimization. So I use
Can we go back to sharing?
Did I stop share?
Mm-hmm.
No, they still see. So
sorry.
it's okay. So I still use this, the image right here. I choose to left align it. I go here to display and I put inline. And then something that I do to make sure that all of my images, because I've got OCD tendencies and I like for things to all be kind of uniform, is I will stretch the picture. Okay, you can do whatever you like, but this is what I do. And it reminds me right here at the end of this paragraph and those 3 dots, so I know that it's stretched to the same part every time. And then I always copy and paste like the first beginning of the blog post right here to be used as an excerpt. And then don't forget to include a meta description. Okay, this is again what's going to help the Googles and the search engines know what this blog is about. It's going to have keywords right to what the blog is and help you show up higher on the Googles when someone is searching this. Why that's important is if we can go over here to the blog, when you do it this way, now all of this is the archive page. So now all of my blogs are very uniform. They all, the blog banners are all they're different, but the same. And you see, I still have probably way too many categories. I should take my own advice over here. But even doing so, do you see how many this is? If you were start to listing out every product and oil individually, you would have a lot. Okay. I do also recommend having an affiliate disclaimer, or if you are embedding some affiliate links. So maybe hopefully that answers your question of how you get your blog banners all the same. I use the blog banner image and I use it in 3 places. I also have a 5-day free blogging challenge, and Coach Ashley has a lot. She has several trainings on blogging.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I also would highly recommend, and this is just a practice for the long term, keep all of your blog post designs in the same file in Canva. So don't go and create a new file, just duplicate, one of the ones that you already used before and make some changes to it. And now you've got all of the historical, what you used for what post, all of that is there if you needed to update something in the future. And then of course it saves you a ton of time because you can just borrow the work that you already did. You don't have to start from scratch.
And I do have 20 blog banner templates in the 5-day blogging challenge that you get for free. So the goal is that you can repurpose those, you can adapt the font, the title, the color, and you'll see that I do it all the time. And it just saves work, saves you so much time.
Fantastic. And people can find that on your website. That's brandibunda.com. Be sure to check that out. Thank you again so much, Brandi, for being here with us today and sharing this with us and just being of service to this incredible community. Thank you guys for sticking around and being willing to learn and grow today. And of course, thank you so much to Greg for making this platform better and better and better every week for years. Thank you.
You cannot go anywhere, Greg.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, it's GetOiling's 10th anniversary here in a couple months, so I'm excited about that.
Yes, it is exciting. And by the way, you guys, just quick little hint here. We are going to have a special guest on next week as well. If you are interested in learning about leading your team and want to see how a leader of 20 years has her vaults set up to take care of her people, you don't want to miss next week. Behind the curtain, you're going to see how Platinum runs a business on the back end. Look forward to seeing you guys there next week. Thank you again, Brandi, and take care, everybody. See you next time.